What's going on, guys? This is Aaron from Departures Capital, and we're here with Gareth Sheridan, founder and CEO of Nutriband. Pleasure to have you on today, Gareth. How you doing?
Good, Aaron. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I'm excited to be talking about the company. So, can you introduce yourself and give us an overview of Nutriband and its mission?
Absolutely. Yeah, my name is Gareth Sheridan. I'm the CEO of Nutriband. As a company, Aaron, we're focused on basically revolutionizing the safety profile of easily abused medication, specifically looking at the opioid space. I think we're all familiar with the crisis that's facing the nation at the moment, particularly with the likes of fentanyl. But on the other side, these types of opioids are very effective pain medications as well. And there's a lot of people dealing with round the clock chronic pain who require access to these types of medications. So the goal for us as a company is to make these products almost inabusable to people suffering from addiction, but accessible again for people suffering from chronic pain. And at the same time, and equally as important, we're going to cut out and eradicate accidental exposure to these types of drugs. And we are now the first and only company in the world working and close to having a filing for approval for an abuse deterrent version of opioids.
Very interesting. So, what is your core focus right now as a company, would you say?
Well, our core focus right now is to be the number one player when it comes to safe opioid pain management. Now, we are focusing specifically on patches. It's worth a while that I mentioned that as well. But patch technology in itself is very beneficial in the sense that it's delivered through the skin. You bypass any of the issues when it comes to the stomach. You can have a controlled, timed release of the opioid. And how we look at this in terms of the technology that we have. These patches have been around for years. Fentanyl-based patches, buprenorphine patches, you name it. But the problem that we see is that they're very abusable in their current state. You'll have people can seep a patch in alcohol to extract the fentanyl. You will have people chew on a patch like chewing tobacco, essentially just to extract the residual opioid out of the patch. So we looked at this in a very simple manner. What are the major routes of abuse when it comes to these types of products? And they tend to be all oral. So that people will chew on it, like I said, make a tea out of it, like I said, actually smoke the contents of a patch. So we came up with a technology we call Aversa, which makes the patches taste really, really bad. Very easy to understand, which is important, but also very effective. We combine two ingredients, denatonium benzoate and capsaicin. So the most bitter substance on the planet combined with red pepper spray, and we coat that on the back of the existing patch. Very simple, very effective. We're also patented in 45 countries with this, and we have a very long runway as hopefully being the number one player in the space and owning that market.
So, what recent progress or milestones would you highlight for investors?
I think the big thing to take away is that while this is a very simple fix for kind of a broken space, it hasn't been done before. So we've gone through feasibility work, we've built out what is a viable product essentially, and we're now working towards taking this to market. Our big win as a company really comes from the fact that this product is not interchangeable with generics. It will be considered a branded product upon approval, but we don't have to go through a phase one, two, three type of development plan. This is what's called a 505(b)(2). We have one single phase one study to conduct prior to putting all the information together. That study is called a human abuse liability study. We give our patch and we give a generic fentanyl patch to a controlled room of recreational opioid users. We monitor which one is more difficult to break into. I would confidently say that ours is going to be far more difficult to abuse than a generic patch that's currently on the market today. And with that, we can claim abuse deterrence on the label, be a branded product, charge a 20 to 50% premium versus generics without having any interaction or effect on insurance coverage. So it's important for us that we take this product to market and we do very well for our shareholders, but we don't do it at the expense of patients. And we've been able to find that perfect sweet spot now with this as well.
That's very interesting. I didn't know that's how it works. So, good to know. So, how large is the opportunity in the abuse deterrent and transdermal pharmaceutical space right now?
But the opportunity really, if you kind of look at the opioid space from 2016 to now, so the last decade, we obviously faced the opioid scandals of the mid 2010s onwards, and the prescription rates that were being given out, and the uncomfortable numbers that we were seeing for people going on opioids. But the problem is, when there was a clampdown on that, specifically with prescribing guidelines, it didn't really take into consideration genuine patients that rely on opioids for managing round the clock pain. You're talking cancer patients, end of life care, palliative care, spinal injuries, car crashes, people that can't just be asked to take a Tylenol
Mhm.
that, it's not going to be effective. And that's what was happening. And unfortunately, that created a ripple effect where the opioid situation and the fentanyl crisis got worse because genuine patients who couldn't access care from their physician now and get a prescription were starting to buy opioids illegally. Now, fentanyl is 50 times stronger than heroin. If you don't know how much to use or take or buy, it's very dangerous. So we saw a ripple effect then with illegal fentanyl. And unfortunately, we saw even suicide rates go up in the pain community because they couldn't get adequate care. So it's been a very messy scenario for the better part of a decade, and we're coming in with a very real fix on that now. So I think that's just an important takeaway from what we're working on. Going forward in terms of the market size, in 2016, fentanyl patches, for example, was $4 billion a year. It's down to about $1 billion a year now, but the the pain community and people who require access to that care has not gone down 75%. Only their access to adequate care has. So we actually think we could see the market move back to those sort of levels again. But starting off now, we're in the region of about $1 billion a year, and we think we'll be the only player in the space when we get Aversa fentanyl to the market. Because even we have opportunities in front of us where we could look for a mandate on abuse deterrence, for example. But even without something like that, you can imagine a physician in terms of liability is going to prescribe our safe product versus a generic product that can be easily abused. And there's going to be a natural progression, you would imagine, to using our product over a competitor.
Definitely. So, what are the most important catalysts coming up over the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, right now we're kind of in that last bit of the runway leading into filing for approval. So our NDA is certainly on the horizon now. We've done a lot of the messy work, the less exciting work, I guess, the feasibility work. Now we have our eyes set firmly on filing that NDA. So if you're looking to become a shareholder now, you're joining at a great time because we're all very excited on how close we are, and we've never been closer to having our first product to market. Aversa is a platform technology. It's applicable to any patch on the market today. Aversa fentanyl is product number one. And like I said, it's about $1 billion a year market. We have independent analysis from a company called Health Advances who advise us that we could expect to do annual revenues of $200 million a year with Aversa fentanyl. Buprenorphine, which is product number two, would be $130 million a year. But that was at a reasonable market share capture. That did not take into consideration owning the market or cornering it, essentially, which we think we can do. So I think we'll do far beyond that again. I think that's a reasonable expectation, but I don't think it's a cap or a ceiling on where we could go with these first couple of products. Not to mention the margins on the products are quite strong. So we're in a very nice niche now where we're a company that can do very well for our shareholders, but we're also a company, as cliche as it might sound, we can save thousands of lives a year in the process. And I think that's something in a 6 to 12 month timeline we can start to really get excited about.
Definitely, I was just going to say that. It's nice to know that you're trying to have a positive impact on the world. And it's been very interesting learning about your story, Gareth. And, you're the founder and CEO. So I look forward to covering the story. Best of luck this year. And we'll have to have you back on for more updates.